Okay, so should we get started? Should I do the introduction, or should somebody else
This is
do the
it.
introduction?
I don't know who wants.
I think you should do it, Danny, because you're kind of steering the ship.
Okay.
You are.
You're steering this audio ship.
You're the keeper of the keys, and those keys open a dungeon.
You're the master of the dungeon and the dragon, potentially.
You are master and commander.
It's actually Dungeon Commander now.
Yeah.
So there's been an update.
You're a dungeon in the streets and a dragon in the sheets.
Shit,
yeah.
dude.
Fucking got him.
That's going
That's
in the
it.
pod.
Big
Okay,
reptile vibes.
So welcome, everybody, to our as of yet named Dungeons and Dragons podcast. That'll have a name by the time you're hearing it, at least. I got to not say so much. That's something I got to work on with myself in 2021. There's a resolution.
Is that
You
your
can edit
resolution?
it out,
I mean,
though.
you feel like a whole new person, right? And this whole new person does not say Is that what you're trying to say?
Basically, yeah. Every time I say I got to come up with something else like underwear.
Ooh.
That's getting cut out. That's getting cut out.
Wow.
Under Armour, our first corporate
Our
sponsorship.
first sponsor, our first ad today is brought to you by Under Armour.
Yep.
So we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons together as friends and family on a podcast for you to listen to. So it's going to be fun, and I'm going to like it, and I'm sure everyone else is going to like it. So I wanted to start by talking about our Dungeons and Dragons experience before we launch into all the stuff about the game and who we are and who our characters are and things like that. So
Perfect.
Jessica, why don't you start with your Dungeons and Dragons life experience?
Oh, boy. Okay. So I started playing when I was 18, 19. I don't know. I had just started working at Disney, and a bunch of us were like, hey, we're nerds. Let's get together and do this. And it was 3.5, and 3.5 was a very fun game. And we had this group that was every week for, I want to say 2 years. And it was the fucking best thing. And then we tried to play 4.0 and that sucked. And then 5.0 came out and it was excellent, but I didn't talk to any of those people anymore, and I didn't have a group until I kind of forced you to learn how to play it. I was like, Daniel
Also
Barkley,
correct.
this is the game that you want to play. And you're like, yeah, okay, sure. And
I was
then
more receptive than that.
and then you started listening to podcasts about D&D, and you were like, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. So
On blast. Thank you for that.
But you're welcome. But I love D&D. I've loved RPGs forever, and I'm very excited.
Yes, good. I'm glad you're excited. How about David Tercero?
Hello.
What do you bring into the table D&D wise?
I'm the guy that plugs in on the microphone, so if this podcast sounds terrible, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Also,
I'll fix it in post. It's okay.
Okay. I bring to the table imagination. And that's about it. I don't actually know how to play Dungeons and Dragons. My first time ever playing was with Jessica and Danny. And we started a game, technically still ongoing outside of this, but for 5 years ago or 6 years ago or something like that. How long has it been?
It was in 2016, so 4 years.
Oh, okay. Well, 7 years ago,
Great.
we started playing D&D, and I've gone on adventures, and I've amassed wonderful magical armor and stuff. I still don't really know how to play Dungeons and Dragons after all this time, but that's okay because I play with Danny, who then just tells me, no, you're not doing it right, do it this way instead, and then I never learn. That's really all you really need is just a DM with patience. And as you will hear in our ongoing adventures, Danny will be very frustrated with me, and it'll be funny.
No. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Eric Lefebvre, how about you?
Hi, my name's Eric Lefebvre. Before I get into that history, I do have a title pitch.
Okay.
And that
Ooh.
pitch is Dunge Stands and Drag Stands.
Almost,
Think about it.
Almost.
Think about it.
Okay.
Spend some time on it.
It's better than the Dippin' Dot suggestion.
Marinate.
I'll let it simmer.
We just call it D&D, and then when people are like, that seems very basic, it's like, no, it stands for Dippin' Dots. Get it together. That's really surface. That's a surface reading. No, my history with the game of Dungeons and Dragons is I've seen both D&D community episodes, and that's where it ends. Yeah, I have no history. I've never played this game. I was like such a jock, so like I never played. No, I'm just kidding. I know very little about it, so this is going to be a very a fun experience for me. I'm assuming very taxing experience for you.
I'm so excited for like all of like for like we're gonna be like, okay, I want to do this and this and this, and then Danny's like, oh my god, how do I make this happen? Okay, fine, okay, fine. So like, if you like hearing people being frustrated, this is probably what's gonna happen. But it's okay because we are all so cute.
Frustrated out of love because I love doing this shit. I live for D&D. I love this game. I love playing it. I love introducing people to it. I love character creation and teaching people the rules and things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll go on this journey together. Like Dave mentioned, I was in that group that started playing in 2016 when Jessica kind of sort of made us start playing.
You're welcome.
Pretty much.
We played with some other friends, and then after a while I was like, oh, Dungeon Master, I want to do that. I want to be all the characters and make up the story and tell people what happens and stuff like that. So I did. I bought all the books and I read all the books and I know all the rules, mostly, kind of, not really, whatever. But yeah, it's this is great and I love doing this and I'm really, really excited and it's going to be fantastic.
One of the things that I super, super love about D&D is every group I've ever played with doesn't play it correctly. Because like there's some rules that like go over, over encumbrance and you need to have these spell components and you need to pick your spells and all this stuff. And
I know.
I like how fluid it can be. If you choose to ignore some of those rules, I feel like it's funner. And like, I'm a fan of doing feats and ability scores and all of this because like it's just so fun narratively.
Don't worry, Eric, we'll figure it out.
I also love feats and ability scores.
Feats and abilities.
There's going to be feats picks.
If you want feats picks, Elafibri at
Give it
Venmo.
a Venmo. It was a Venmo.
Yeah.
Send me some money and I'll send you the hottest feast pick you've ever seen.
Is it a feast pick for that one?
What did you say? Wait, what is it called? Feats?
It's
feats.
a feats.
Like
F-E-A-T-S.
You get feats.
Sorry, I'll send you feast and feats.
Oh.
Ooh.
So
It'll be a feet feast.
It's going to be a feet feast.
Fit for
It'll,
a snack.
Okay, what I'm picturing right now is just like, you know how like you see the quintessential like turkey for Thanksgiving, like with this beautiful spread, but instead of like the turkey, it's just a foot there.
Yep.
Like,
but a beautiful foot.
But
Beautiful.
beautifully lit,
Gorgeous.
like beautifully like lathered with butter. Okay, anyways. What am I talking about?
Goodness. So before we get into our characters and how we will be playing this adventure, I wanted to mention a few things for our players and for the listeners about the way this game is going to kind of be played. We kind of just mentioned we don't really play it, quote, the right way. So some basic housekeeping things. We are starting our characters at level 3, not level 1. So these characters have already seen some stuff. It's not their first rodeo. They're already going to have a few abilities and
We've
things.
killed
to build
so many
off of.
dragons by this point.
They're already it's not
okay, but
what?
For real though, like levels 1 and 2 are so boring and you don't even get like anything for your class or anything until level 3. So I feel like every D&D session should start at level 3, but that's just me. At least in 5.0.
In the fiction, it's going to be that you're not just like a regular Joe who's picking up a sword for the first time. You're somebody who has, been around the block, fought once or twice already.
Yeah.
As far as spell casting, I know we'll have some spellcasters in the group. We are not playing with the rules about preparing spells because I always thought that was kind of weird. If you were a wizard, you can only cast the 8 spells you wrote down when you woke up that morning. Like that doesn't really make any sense. If you're a wizard, you're a wizard, So there are no preparing spells. If you are a certain level, you know all the spells at that level. It's fine. It's magic. Mm-hmm. There's no limits on magic. Also, we're not playing with the material elements of spells. You don't need to, 1,000 gold piece diamond and 10 raven feathers to cast flight or anything like that.
That's just for fashion. That's not for spell components.
Right. You can have the 10 raven feathers and the diamond if you want, but you don't need it to cast the spells.
It's for aesthetic, not utility.
Right. It's fashion over function.
Which is just as important in this universe that we're building.
Fashion's going to be a big role here.
Oh, yeah.
Jessica mentioned encumbrance. Encumbrance is not officially a thing. I'm not going to count up the weight of all the items you are carrying and say you can't carry that 1 pound thing because you'll be too heavy. But if you want to carry a lot of stuff, you're going to need to kind of justify it. So you can't just have like, I have 7 swords in my backpack. I'll be like, really? Do you?
What if it's a really good backpack?
If you have a magic backpack, then yeah, sure.
Or what if it's like a golf caddy or a golf course thing and you carry that around like a golf caddy?
What if you have like a whole separate person that is able to carry all that stuff for you, like a little lackey?
Or like a ghost.
Or a ghost.
like, what if you have an ass? Like, what if, like, you don't have a steed? You have, like,
Well,
I have an ass.
I think we've got
Don't
the ass
worry
covered.
about it.
Is that already canon? Is that already part of our backstory?
Yes. So no, all that's great. Like if you have a reason in fiction to have stuff, yeah. But I want to build it into the narrative, basically. If you want to do all that stuff, and that goes for anything. Like if you decide I want to cast this spell, I might ask, okay, how's it look, kind of thing. There's rules in the Tasha book that just came out about modifying spells that I'm going to want to get into. Speaking of, we are using all the elements from Xanthar and from Tasha, the D&D books. Eric,
Tell her I say hi.
Okay, don't worry about those, Eric. That's more on my end.
No, I just haven't seen her in a long time. Tell her I say hey.
Okay. Let's see. We're playing with attunement of magic items. That's a new thing for our group, but attunement will be a thing for magic items. We'll get to that when it's relevant. Rules are a guideline, but they are not the holy word of law. I'd rather do cool shit and have fun than be a rules lawyer.
Yeah, no fucking cops.
Yeah, no cops.
Yeah, dude.
All rules
We
lawyers
are
are bastards.
anti-cop D&D pod.
Yes.
Let's get that out of the way now. Just let our listeners know where we stand right away.
Yeah.
It's
I will
canon.
not be. I'm not incorporating any official D&D maps / locations / cities. So we're not going to go to like Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter. We're not on Faerun. All that stuff. Again, Eric, don't worry about it. But I'm making up my own world with my own cities and stuff like that. So you won't see any familiar places.
Will we
there.
have like new San Diego? Or
Yes,
like
there'll be fantasy Los Angeles. We can go there. It's terrible. The traffic's miserable.
I love. The carriages are outrageous.
oh my God. And like the lift prices too. Like fucking go
50
off.
shillings. Can you believe it? My God.
But it's literally a guy just comes in, lifts you up, and carries you where you need to go.
Just a
No,
barbarian.
it's a fucking
Let's wait.
giant who throws you. It's like, you want to
Fantasy
ride?
lift. Well, I mean, that's in the game now. I just decided.
Oh, perfect.
Which kind of, speaking of, I dig sort of somewhat collaborative storytelling. Like, yeah, I'm the DM and I'm the one telling you what happens and where the world is and all that kind of stuff. But it's more fun if we all get to kind of contribute. So if something funny like that lift thing, sure, I'll make that into the game, whatever. I want to ask you guys questions about the world sometimes. Like, what do you see over there that's relevant to you? Or what do you find in this box that's, important to your character or something like that? It's not as fun if I'm just telling you what you see 100% of the time. So
Got it.
trying to incorporate some of the methods from games like Monster of the Week or Uncharted Worlds, where players get to kind of contribute a little bit more to the world building. So we're all in this together. It's our world. We're making this place
Chill.
a safe space
Right.
for all four of us to play this fun Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah.
So
Honestly, rolls right off the tongue.
that's basic things about the game and how we're going to play, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see.
You keep promising like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that's the Danny guarantee.
I feel like, okay. I feel like that should be like the flavor text to our, speaking of like, picking our Dippin' Dots name, but it should be like something, a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. If you're only
the
having a
lot-
little fun,
The a lot of fun is an asterisk. It's a footer. It's a footnote.
There
if
we
you're only
go.
having
Yeah.
a little fun, return the rest of this podcast, the part you haven't listened to yet, and we will get you
Yeah.
your money back, guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Does that technically make this podcast clickbait? If we
Could be.
promise right up front that, oh my God, you're going to have so much fun with this. Episode 7
Minute
will blow your
15 will
mind.
shock you.
Yeah.
Guess what we're promising with this episode? It's a lot of fun.
That's
It's
true.
it's just so much fun, really. Let's see. Things the players would know. So things your characters would know about this world, since I just mentioned that it's not the official D&D world. It's a standard fantasy setting. There's magic, there's dragons, there's heroes, there's gold, horses, all that stuff. There's no like laser guns or any, it's not a futuristic thing. It's your standard fantasy setting. You are located on the continent of Constance. That is the entire known world to you. A few ships have returned from sea around Constance, claiming to see other lands out in the distance, but no one who has set out for these lands has ever returned with any proof, and some have not returned at all. So as far as your characters are concerned, this continent you are on, called Constance, is the known world.
Okay.
Other land is generally considered a myth.
Should we also mention that we're playing with like some homebrew shit too, in addition to like the actual D&D stuff?
Yeah, definitely. In addition to the way we play, it's also plenty of homebrew shit, which we'll get to, especially when we get to Dave's character, and possibly some other items as well. But yeah, a lot of homebrew shit. If it's cool, I want to do it. So if it's not in the player's handbook, it's still very much on the table. The things your characters would know about this world: there is a deity system, different than Dungeons and Dragons. There are the overgods and the undergods, and I have made a handy little visual representation of this for you. which maybe one day we'll put on our Instagram or something.
Could be like a show notes thing or something.
So
Ooh.
you'll notice there are 2 squares here.
Whoa.
Fucking artiste.
So
Wow, those are some nice squares.
I know I tried really hard to make them
Ooh,
even. I don't think I did.
Wait, did you use a ruler? Because
I did
that
not.
looks so even.
I did not use a ruler. But basically there are 8 overgods and 8 undergods. The overgods are light, air, water, earth, nature,
I think it's a
feast,
heart.
love, and knowledge. Love is in there.
Okay.
Do I need to write this down?
No.
Okay.
This is just something your character would know that it's a polytheistic deity system.
Understood.
Which one is
the
Captain
gods-
Planet?
It's when you combine all 8.
But can you hack the planet?
When you unlock that skill at level 5.
Damn. All right.
So those are all typically good things, right? And you'll notice a lot of houses in this world will have this square up in their homes, and each god has a little symbol. So for light, it's a little sun. For knowledge, it's a little book. You see that? For love, it's a little heart, right? And the way it works is that whatever you're looking for at the time, you kind of tilt the square so that one is up. So if you need some knowledge, you're praying for knowledge or whatever, you tilt the square. If you're praying for love, you tilt the square so love is on top, kind of thing. See how that works?
Okay.
It's like a rotating thing. Those are the overgods. On the other side of that little square, the same square but on the other side, are the undergods. And these are typically the ones that do the bad stuff. What do you know? And they're all the opposites. So there is darkness, sickness, blood, war, fire, famine, fear, and lies.
So that's the metal side.
That's
So-
the heavy metal side.
It's
Yeah,
very
the
brutal.
undergods.
Holy shit! Like the death metal side. Fucking blood.
and lies.
Mm-hmm. Those are
That's-
all the undergods, the undergod of blood, the undergod of lies, etc. So these are still incorporated on the same square in the homes, right? But it's always pretty much not showing because nobody would want to necessarily pray for lies and fear. But the idea is, you can't have good without evil, blah, 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 blah.
Love.
I'm not a very theistic person in my actual life, so that's as far as I'm going to go with it. But those things exist. There are 8 overgods, 8 undergods. They have opposites, and they are rumored to sometimes come to Constance in humanoid form and interact with
Whoa.
individuals.
Ooh. Okay.
So
So kind
be
of
on
like
the
a
lookout.
Greek gods kind of thing.
Yes, it's a very
Like-
Greek god kind of system.
Are we
I
playing Xena
cannot-
Warrior Princess?
Maybe.
I cannot wait to meet Blood Daddy.
I'm so stoked.
Cannot
This is gonna
wait.
be
He's
so
gonna be
cute.
so hot. It's silly.
So those are things your characters would know about this world that are relevant to
Okay.
bring up now. So
Okay. Chill.
that's what I have for you. What do you guys have for me? Let's talk about the characters you will be playing in this adventure that promises to be a lot of fun.
Love.
I know Jessica is probably the most ready for this.
Oh, well, yeah. So I want to play a druid, a wood elf druid, I think. And my origin story is going to be.
Well, what's your name?
Oh, Sephany. Like
Is it like
Persephone. but
Persephone
this-
without the per?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I have like a background where it's like, the background is like folk hero. So like it has been prophesied that I am supposed to be this amazing, life-changing, whatever fucking person for my people. And the thing about that is I don't want that. I don't give a shit about that. And that doesn't interest me. And so because I like grew up with all of that fanfare and all of that, I'm also just incredibly jaded. So I left and went out into the world, and I'm going to use something from Tasha's called the sidekick. So my goal is never to draw attention to myself because I am either well known or because like I don't want any praise. I don't want anything. I just want to fucking get a beer or like chill or do something, right? So the person to take that off of me is my sidekick. So instead of like being the heroic person with the sidekick that is like just goes and does my stuff, this person is the sidekick that is playing the hero and I am playing the sidekick. So whenever something happens, they're going to be like the Padme situation from Star Wars, right? So she does the thing. I get to go chill and do whatever I want. And I think that's going to be fun because my character is not good with charisma, doesn't have a lot of that. So I'm just going to let them do the thing and just kind of like tell them, yo, this is what I want to do, whatever. But then like, I'm not heartless. So like, if, we're in a situation where I can help, I don't generally like to be like a person that like, oh, here's a fire. I can put that fire out, like, and put the fire out and be like, oh, thank you so much. So I would like do that behind my back and just like walk away and hope nobody notices it was me, or just have it look like my sidekick hero person did it. So I'm very excited to play with that dynamic because that's something I haven't done in D&D. And druids are the best class. I'm just going to say it. So yeah.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Have you decided any details about your sidekick yet, or will we meet them in adventure number 1?
I want to work with you on that, so maybe that's something we could do here, because I don't want to play both characters. I don't think that would be fun. But I think if you played that sidekick as like an NPC, that can be fun and create some like conflict and areas for misunderstandings or misconceptions. So
Hell yeah.
There's going to be obvious times where like they like get asked to do something and they're like, and they look at me and I'm like, fucking just do the thing. And then like they do exactly the opposite of what I want them to do. And I think
they're your hero patsy. Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Interesting. And so why are you adventuring? Why aren't you, if you don't want to be this chosen one, why aren't you just like at home on the couch with a beer all the time? You're still like out in the world doing stuff though.
Because people know where I live. And so like I can't just chill on my couch with like some fantasy wine. What is that, mead? Anyway.
I mean, mead's real. It's not. Yeah. That's true. It's fine.
Fantasy mead is much better though.
But like, y'all, people know where I live, and if I stay in one place too long, then they fucking find me. So I always have to be out doing stuff. And also, I always need money because, like, my bank account, if I use my credit card somewhere, then they're just going to fucking come and find me. So I need, like, under the table income.
So they can't track your fantasy credit cards.
Yes.
So you're kind of a wanderer a la the Kung Fu TV show or the Incredible Hulk TV show where you just go from town to town, help people out, and then move on while the sad piano music plays over the credits.
I don't necessarily need to help people out. I just need some money and some like chill time, and then just fucking bounce.
Well, sure. The Hulk didn't go from town to town meaning to help people. He would just go there, and then they'd be like, "Oh my god, the water tower is on fire!" If whatever, and then he had to save a child or something, and use his Hulk powers. Every episode, it was great. Great television show.
I imagine your character is that, but you're also Julia Roberts in that you can't even go to 7-Eleven without a swarm of paparazzi chasing after you. So you have to like run away from the crowds and like, no, I'm not really the hero. No, it's not me.
Well, that's why she's on the run, right?
With the big sunglasses and the big hat and the just constantly lurking in the shadows, getting away from people.
Well, I mean, the reason that I'm like traveling to places too that aren't necessarily like druidic is because then like there's less of a chance that people are going to know me and all that stuff.
So you're not the chosen one for all of Constance. You're the chosen one for
like specifically my tribe or my people or whoever that we could figure out at some point.
Okay, cool. David.
Yes.
Tell us about your character.
My character. So I'm, like Denny alluded to before, I'm going to be doing a little bit of homebrew.
Just a little.
For this. Just a little bit. I am going to be a bard.
That would mean all of it.
But my character is actually going to be a robot. Is my race. So I am.
What's your name?
So my name. Hold on. It's a very long name, and I've written down. I am the Variance Alpha Psionic Altonian Lexotransceiver.
So we have to call you that every time?
But the acronym for that is VAAL or VaAL. So you can call me Val. It's nice to meet you. So I am originally a robot that was made for battle by, help me out here, Danny, what's the name of the person that makes the things?
You mean an artificer?
Yeah. So an artificer made me for purposes of battle. It's like a war robot, basically. And during a big battle that we've yet to determine,
the great one
was hit, knocked out, what you call it, and damaged. And suddenly all of my programming was wiped clean. My memory was erased, and I don't know who I am or why I exist. And during that time, I was cast aside and later found near a dumpster outside of a club, like a discotheque club.
Fantasy discotheque.
And the DJ, the resident DJ of this fantasy discotheque club, found me and decided to take me on as an apprentice. So I learned to become a DJ as a robot. That's why I'm a bard. And over time, I'm hoping, as the events unfold, that I will slowly return to my normal programming and get my memory back.
But the best thing, or one of the best things, there's a lot of great things about this character. It's a lot of fun. One of the best things about this character is the way you communicate. So whereas Jessica will be doing a character voice, I'll be doing a bunch of character voices. Eric presumably will be doing some voices. David, what are you doing?
So I got really geeky because I was really excited to build this character. And I used Siri to build myself a soundboard, basically, of pre-programmed sayings. Here's one as an example.
Hello.
Or, once I meet someone, here's my official greeting.
Greetings. I am a variance alpha psionic Altonian Lexotransceiver unit, model number XFCED001. But you can call me Val for short. It's great to meet you.
So that's me, in a nutshell.
And the important thing to note is that you can't just type in whatever you want to fit the situation into this program, right? Your
Right.
character Val has a limited number of expressions. Is that right?
Yeah, so talking with Danny earlier off podcast about this, one of the fun game dynamics that we came up with for my character was that since I am damaged, I am a damaged robot with a corrupted central processor, what have you, that my speech patterns are limited and I only have a certain amount of responses that I can use in any conversation. Right now I have 12 of them, and anytime that my character levels up, I get 4 more.
Correct.
So I have sort of pre-programmed 12 responses that I can use, 2 of which are also attacks because I'm a bard. But I have things like,
Oh dear. No thank you.
or
Uh-oh. There seems to be some trouble with my memory engram matrix. And I'll run a diagnostic protocol. Just a sec.
So no matter the situation, so if a city guard walks up and sees this robot trying to pick a lock or something and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Hello.
Yeah.
sort of like for anybody listening to this who has an iPhone, Siri sucks usually, and you try to ask Siri to do something and it doesn't really work very well.
We just got sued by Apple.
Thank you. Imagine that, but like it gets better over time. So like I'll ask Siri something and I'll go,
How can I help you today?
and then I'll say, what is 2 cups in ounces? And I'll say, here's what I found on the web for you. I'm basically a limited, a limited version of an intelligence at the moment. And over time, I will become more useful in our gameplay.
Maybe.
I hope so,
Yeah.
We'll see.
but that's very exciting. All right, Eric, what do you have for us?
Hi.
I'm excited because I knew about Sephany and I knew about VaAL ahead of time. I have no idea what you're bringing to the table.
So I don't know if this is going to help us or we'll see. My character is a human. I know, shocker.
Oh my God.
His name is Jared. His whole deal is he is a fucking liar. And by that I mean he's a salesperson. So the entirety of his character is trying to sell people things, but on the reverse side of that, you could call him a borrower of sorts. I would say thief. But
he would say borrower.
He would say borrower, yeah. So he's also very charismatic, so he can spin sort of any story into fitting whatever the situation calls for, and that can, in certain instances, help the group get through places they otherwise wouldn't necessarily be able to. His backstory is essentially, well, as he tells it, but again, he's a fucking liar, so we have no idea what his backstory is.
True.
He makes shit up on the fly. So what?
Every time it's different.
Yeah. I feel like at certain points his name might not even be Jared. he might change it depending on the circumstance. But his whole deal is like, from what he has said, he has sort of been jilted by the majority of his family and friends, and therefore wants to do right by the world in giving people joy. And to him, joy is capital. So he's a big old capitalist. And part of that adventure for him is selling things and crafting narratives around those things and convincing people that these things bring joy or whatever it is he's intending to
Is he part of
sell.
like the wellness industry?
But that's the thing though, maybe. So most of this, he can convince you that yes, at one point in his time, possibly 8 years ago, when he may or may not have been 27, he was a part of the wellness industry for a short time. By short time, it could be a year, it could be 10. Who has any clue? He might have been a VP. We're not sure. Either way, that's his deal.
So we don't really know if his name is actually Jared, or if he actually is a human, or if he's actually
a salesman.
So for the purposes of the game, I am saying yes, his name is Jared at this time.
Currently Jared.
Currently, yeah, he very much lives in the moment. So it's a very we'll see. We'll see who this person is.
So when you say borrower, does he also steal shit then?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Do you want to know the truth?
I mean, no. I mean, I want stuff to unravel kind of narratively.
Yeah.
But as far as gameplay wise, then, are you a rogue? Have you kind of settled on the class?
So this is not a character thing. I thought we were going to do it. Like, can we do it together? I thought we were doing it together.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, absolutely.
cool.
So the reason that
if you had an
Dave-
idea in mind, though, that's what I was asking.
So human with high charisma was sort of the base.
Okay.
My class, I guess.
Probably rogue, I imagine, right?
Do you think rogue?
The thing with rogues is they are very sneaky.
Because I was going to
So-
say that or bard.
Let's see. Rogue is a scoundrel who uses stealth and trickery to overcome obstacles and enemies,
Fuck it, I'm a rogue.
whereas bards are inspiring magicians whose power echoes the music of creation.
Oh, then no, JK, I'm a rogue.
Yeah, so so if you're going to be a borrower or somebody who kind of conceals their identity a lot or changes their identity, I think that fits
Yes.
rogue pretty well.
you could be a rogue with high charisma.
Yeah, there's rogue builds we can figure out.
Yeah,
mean-
because that's also part of like deception and stuff too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like I said, we are using the rules from Tasha, which are a little bit more free for changing your character how you see fit. So
Spoiler alert, I have a -3 in charisma, so they're not good.
I don't feel like VaAL is very high in charisma either. Is that right, Dave? Because you only say 12 things.
Right, exactly. And
So-
I'm also a robot. You can't really be charismatic unless you're like some kind of love machine or something. I don't know.
Well,
And like the charisma thing also like feeds into like why I just don't give a shit and don't want to be a leader, because I'm actually not a natural leader. And so I think, yeah.
I have years of experience in leadership.
Oh, excellent.
thank you, Jared.
Do not
Wait a
worry. I actually started a company that's based in leadership skills. that
Oh,
is.
are you going to be like my mentor? Like, you know how there's like master classes or like, boot camp. So
Can we hire you to be our
when
life coach?
When we figure out how we're going to like meet and everything, like I may at some point ask you for leadership classes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I have a whole line of videos online if you wanted to take a look. Honestly, they're pretty cheap, but
fantasy
they
internet?
are. I'm sorry?
The
On
fantasy
the
internet?
fantasy web.
And by that, I mean it's the spider web in the town square that I throw all of my products into.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like the characteristic when information is forgotten, more often than not, it's unintentional. So like if I forget my name, I feel like it's because I just forgot. And then after being like, oh wait, shit, no, I mean this. And then it's like working myself out of a hole essentially to like
I like
justify why I made a mistake. But although there are some times where it is intentional, like trying to get into a place.
Oh, also, how old are you?
Do I have to say?
How old do you appear? Like, do you appear to be 15 or 65?
I appear
Or-
to be 31.
Okay, 31. We'll say ish 31, and then that little.
Yeah.
Little,
I
I
remember
mean,
he
line
did
for-
work in the wellness industry, so a lot of Botox, a lot
Yeah,
of face
if-
creams.
if you want an
His
age
hair's got-
range, I can give you an age range.
And that age range is 31.
The age range is 19 to 55.
Okay.
You're a
But
demographic.
Yeah, I'm pretty much essentially. I'm going to keep it right around a 31 though.
Got it.
Also, a couple other pitches for title: Dungeons and Deadpans
Oh.
Okay.
or Funyuns and Dragons.
Ooh, a lot of fun, Yins and Dragons.
A lot of Funyuns and Dragons.
Is that a play at
Uh-huh.
a potential sponsorship deal?
Possibly.
There is.
I'm chatting with Nabisco at the moment. We'll see where that gets me. How to succeed in D&D without really trying.
D&D for dummies.
How to win dungeons and influence dragons.
That's funny. Not another teen Dungeons and Dragons podcast.
Ah.
Dark rooms and large reptiles.
Oh no.
That sounds like a very specific kind of kink.
I mean, yeah. It's the game.
So, do you want to keep talking about the name? Do you have any other business? Or do you want me to give you a little bit of a morsel of teaser so you kind of have something in mind as we start the first session?
Yeah.
Give me the morsel.
A small morsel. So, our adventure will open in the town of Remedy at the annual Harvesttide Festival. This is a autumnal celebration. It's basically Thanksgiving, Halloween, autumnal equinox, all kind of rolled into one. The whole nation celebrates it, but you happen to be in Remedy, a town of about 500 people. So you should be thinking about, what are you doing in Remedy? Do you live there already? Are you just passing through? Did you come for a specific reason? Are you looking for somebody? Are you looking for something? Do you have some kind of goal? Why did you end up in Remedy for the Harvesttide Festival? What were you doing before? Again, if you live there, no big deal, but are you, did you just come from slaying a mighty dragon? Probably not, 'cause you're only level 3. Are you on the run? Things like that. So what were you doing that brought you to Remedy, and why are you in Remedy now? And depending on your goal in Remedy, where are you going next? So are you, I'm just staying for the night until I move on and go fight the whatever goblin army, blah, blah, blah. Or are you trying to put down some roots? Or are you just looking kind of a place to stay? Do you have a goal? Or are you just a wanderer, kind of thing like that? So we will begin at the Harvesttide Festival in the 500-person town of Remedy. And then, then we'll play some fucking Dungeons & Dragons, and it will be a lot of fun.